So there is a top secret, and I mean top secret strategy that currently I'm using that pretty much no one else, I've never seen anyone talk about it, and I have not seen any videos on this when it comes to the Aster perpetual trading and the upcoming airdrop that is going to close stage 2 on October 5th. This has been a way that I've been able to use to multiply my overall points and be able to do a lot of volume while at the same time doing really great trades. We're going to dive into it in today's video. It is very simple, but it is very secret. If you enjoy the content and the time that was put into this video, smash up the like. If you enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. This video is going to be relatively short because I really only want to hone in on one specific trading secret when it comes to Aster DEX and the Aster airdrop. Now, briefly to update anyone who is new to Aster in the upcoming airdrop opportunity, on October 5th, stage 2 of the airdrop Genesis and Aster Genesis essentially ends. So stage 2 is entering its final stretch with just 2 epochs left, essentially 2 weeks left. Stage 2 will officially end on October 5th. Users will still have climbed the time to climb ranks and earn points. 4% of the Aster total supply has been allocated as rewards for this stage. That's about $500 to $600 million at the current rate, incentivizing traders who have been trading on Aster Pro during this time period. After this, you'll have stage 3. Now, there is kind of an unknown as to when the Aster tokens would be actually airdropped. While stage 2 ends October 5th, that doesn't mean that there is going to be an airdrop occurring of what was rewarded on October 6th. That said, I do think there is a possibility that we see Aster distributed relatively shortly after, considering the fact that the next stage is including spot trades and refreshed incentives. So it only kind of makes sense to be able to reward those who participated in stage 2. Now those individuals have a lot more funds to now trade spot into stage 3. Now that's at least my hypothesis. I think it's a good idea. Whether or not that is the plan or the plan that Aster has in place, kind of an unknown. But let's talk about this super secret trading strategy that almost no one is talking about. By the way, if you've not started this yet, there is still time to join. I'll leave my referral link down below if you want to join. My code is here as well. So if you take a look at Genesis, the amount of traders is significant. There are a lot of people trading. There are a lot of people fighting over points. And quite honestly, oftentimes, if you don't have a lot of capital, you don't have a ton to be able to put in, you're going to try to find every and any way to kind of get that edge. There is only so many ways to be able to get an edge unless you're coming in with multi-millions of dollars, like some individuals obviously come into airdrops like this. So I want to give you that edge, especially for people dealing with portfolios less than $1,000, that I've been able to find myself as I've kind of transitioned not only into getting more involved into the perpetual trading on Aster, but more specifically using the different edges to be able to get ahead. Now, currently my ranking is in the top 20,000. And mind you, this was with a portfolio that I started off just on this specifically with $300, and I've grown that now to about $850, which ironically enough, I got that $300 from another airdrop that I've used to be able to build over this portfolio. So right now you can see my total RH points, and there are around 40,000 to 50,000 total on average traders expected within the, kind of a little bit vague, but it is right around the 40 to 50,000 range. So I'm in the top 50% with a small portfolio. So I want to show you exactly how to do that and why I think this is only going to increase as time moves forward. So you can see right here my overall volume in 7 days. You can also see my P&L over those 7 days as well. And that has not only been from spot trading, exploring the platform. I just wanted to kind of get a better understanding of everything that Aster has to offer. And when you take a look at the perpetual trading, because that is where all the points are being generated, the first thing that you can do to be able to increase is by depositing USDT or depositing BNB and converting that into USDF and ASBNB. Not only do you earn yield on both of those assets, you also get to use those as collateral for your perpetual trading, which only adds more points to your perpetual trading. I briefly touched on this in a prior video, but that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking USDT, converting that into both USDF, ASBNB, and using that as leverage on perpetual trading. So I essentially triple dip yield, leverage, and more points. Now, when you look at this, most people are going to go to perpetual, spot, or portfolio. Maybe they go to referral, and maybe they go and check their reward section. But what most people don't go and do is go over to this section that allows you to go to grid trading. Now, if this is your very first time learning about what is grid trading and how does this work, what does this process look like overall, it is definitely on the higher risk aspect. It is something that, I wouldn't put, if you're dealing with a small portfolio, I wouldn't put half your portfolio in it, because it also depends on the type of trading that you're doing and how you set up your trading bot. Now, mind you, when it comes to grid trading, there is a fantastic video. This is by The Good, The Bad, and The Bitcoin. I'll leave a link to this down below so you can check it out. But he has a really, really good video on talking about everything that you need to know when it comes to grid trading. But essentially, what grid trading allows you to do, and I'm going to show you this real quick as we go over to the perpetuals. This is what it will look like as far as grid trading. Essentially, you have buy and sell orders essentially everywhere. And according to Grok, the very simple definition of what this looks like is essentially you choose a specific price range. You set buy orders at lower prices and sell orders at higher prices. So you can have a short, you can have a long, and you can have a neutral, depending on how you're expecting the overall market to trend towards. And this can also be, Aster is kind of like a one-off where it's kind of trending in an upwards direction. There's a lot of momentum. So obviously your decision on doing that can vary. And when it comes to setting up grid trading strategies, a lot of them, as you can see with Bitcoin, has an automatic grid trading strategy. But some that are a lot newer, you have to manually set the parameters when it comes to trading with newer tokens that don't have a lot of data. So in this instance, if you were to go and set up some of these parameters, a lot of it does depend on how much capital you're working with. So like I said, depending on how much you're working with, it also depends on the leverage that you use and the overall metrics and the settings that you use as well. And obviously, if you're doing a neutral, that's kind of just, you expect things to essentially stay sideways. You don't see a move up or down. Long, if you're expecting this to increase in value over time. In short, if you expect a volatile bear market opening short position with grid. So depending on how you're doing this, in this example, we're just going to go with the likes of neutral. Now for me, I have a long position. There are going to be times where you're going to be down. There's going to be times when you are going to be up. That is kind of just things that you have to understand. And I think in my perspective, the forward long-term momentum for the likes of Aster is going to be up. And that is why I currently have, in this instance, I have $225, about a quarter of my portfolio, not half my portfolio, not majority of my portfolio, just a portion of my portfolio, testing this out. And what this does is essentially creates volume, so I don't have to constantly be looking at the buying opportunities. I don't have to constantly be in front of a computer taking trades, taking entries, taking exits. I have a bot doing it all for me, while at the same time creating constant volume. So my volume has increased dramatically. The points that I've accrued has dramatically increased as well. And I have realized profit depending on the type of bot I've set up. Now, this is my third bot that I've kind of explored with. I don't think there is a perfect overall setup. That is something that I know other people are playing around with, not specifically on Aster, but on other platforms and other trading strategies. So when you take a look at this, the way that I set up, you essentially have a lower and higher price. So if you're gonna go $1 to example, in this example, like if you're gonna go to $1 to $5, and then you just set up the amount of grids. So the buys and the sells essentially. So if you were to set up more grids, for example, if you wanna do 100 grids, On a neutral, that is going to require an initial margin of $153. So mind you, that's just going to mean a lot more buying and selling because you essentially have a lot more levels there, a lot more volume that way. Now, if you're only to set up, for example, 10, you're not going to require as much margin, and there's not going to be a lot of up and down. So there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more fluctuation before there is a buy or a sell. So just be mindful of that, and that all is within the $1 to $5 range. So be mindful of how you set these up because that plays a role into how much of a range and how much trading actually occurs. So you can see in this instance, if you were to set this up with a neutral $1 to $2, you don't expect it to go to above 2. Maybe you want to be safe and you're going to say 2.5 in this instance. You don't really need a whole lot of money to set up one of these bots. You're going to have a bit of trades, but if you wanted to have a lot more grids, let's just say 50, that's going to require a lot more to be deposited. And you're probably not going to see as much rewards because you have such a small range and a ton of grid with not a lot of margin. So you're going to really get eaten up with fees. So there is kind of like a fine place to be able to set one up. I'm currently playing around with one, but if you didn't know about the grid trading strategy within the likes of Aster, like I said, I highly recommend that you check out this video to get a better understanding of what grid trading strategies are, how to use them, and then go and implement your own to be able to trade. For me, I know where my risk tolerance is. I know I'm playing essentially with house money, and I know where this is going to be headed futuristically. I'm okay being down currently because I know of the long term. I'm willing to take the risk for the long-term position with the likes of Aster, with a grid trading bot. Maybe you don't have as much risk tolerance. Maybe you don't have as much to be able to play with. And maybe you don't want to use 10x leverage. Maybe you want to use 5x leverage. Maybe you want to use 2x leverage. Maybe you want to use 50x leverage. That is completely up to you. But like I said, I highly recommend that you go check out that video, get a better understanding of how grid trading works, and use this to your advantage because it literally does everything for you. I don't have to constantly go in, put in trades, put in sell order, put in limit closes, anything like that to drum up volume on my perpetuals airdrop journey. Hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully this keyed you in on something that I've not seen anyone else talk about, but has a ton of potential, especially as my overall volume increases automatically and I don't have to do anything to make it happen. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, smash up the like. You enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. And until next time, guys, stay invested.